So how can we juggle the needs of homeschool mom life when we add a baby to the mix and do it well? Hi, I am Rachel. I am a homeschool mom to 3 young boys, and today that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about. How do we do both? How do we homeschool our children well and care for our infants well? First of all, I want to encourage you that if you're watching this video while you're pregnant and overwhelmed and not feeling very good and wondering, if it's this hard while I'm pregnant, how am I ever going to do this with a baby in the mix? I just want to encourage you. I know that every experience is very different and there are many experiences very different from mine. But for me personally, being pregnant is much harder, is much physically, mentally, emotionally harder to be pregnant and homeschooling and taking care of my other children than it is to have a baby and be homeschooling and taking care of my children. Now, I know that not everyone has that experience. You might have a very easy pregnancy and then have a baby with a lot of high needs, a colicky baby, or a baby who just needs to constantly be held, or you might have a baby with medical needs, extra medical needs, or you might have twins. There is a variety of things that can add extra challenge to the newborn season and make it more difficult than pregnancy. But for myself and for many others, pregnancy itself is a lot more draining. And then once you actually kind of start feeling human again and you're taking care of a baby and you're taking care of your other kids, it becomes a little bit easier actually to get into the groove. So there is infinite variety in the experience, but it is doable. So many moms have gone before us and have done this well. We can look to those who have gone before us, and we can look to specific strategies that can make this very important job doable in our own everyday lives. Now, I want to begin this video with the very clear statement of 1, adapt to the needs of your current reality. Make a toolbox list for yourself, either just a mental list or make an actual physical list, because our brains are very tired these days. But make yourself a toolbox list of the strategies, the go-to strategies that you can use to get this momentous job done, to get the priorities of your day done. What strategies work for you and your family to get that done? Think of it in this way. When we have a crying or fussy infant, we go through that mental list of strategies of how to help this baby. Everyone knows the list, right? Do they need a diaper? Do they need a feed? Do they need to go to sleep? Are they too hot or are they too cold? We know all these different strategies that we can use to calm our crying infant. So we need to have our own mental list of what are the strategies, my go-to strategies I can use to tackle the task that is in front of me with homeschooling, raising my children, and taking care of my infant. Now, that has to be said with the caveat that we all know babies grow so fast and they are constantly changing. What works for them one day might not work at all the next, because now they're suddenly in a whole new phase, or they just have those fussy days when they're teething or when they're going through a growth spurt and they need something different. So have your strategies, have different strategies you can cycle through, but be very ready to adapt to the needs of your reality on that given day. A day where you got 2 hours of sleep last night is going to need different strategies than a day when you got a full 6 hours. The next big idea I want to address in this video is that, what we're talking about in this video is your 2 big responsibilities. You likely have other responsibilities as well. We all do. We're all juggling our own unique mix of hats to wear. But in this video, we are talking about these 2 very precious and very important priorities. On the one hand, educating and raising and caring for our older children and caring for our new baby, our infant or toddler. And we want to do both of those well. So begin with deciding that you are going to do both of these well. These jobs are too important to not be done, and they're too important to be done poorly. We have to figure out a way to do these well in whatever that looks like in our own lives, in our own situation with our own specific children. So the strategies that we develop have to be strategies that fit us and our needs and our children's needs and the situation of our life needs. We need to put those strategies in our toolbox, but they are going to look different from person to person. I'll just give you a specific example. Baby wearing. A lot of moms find baby wearing very, very helpful during this season of life. I do have a carrier. I hardly ever use it, and it tends to be the last strategy that I will go to. One, because I live in a very hot place, tropical climate. We don't have aircon around the house, so I find it very, very hot to wear a baby. Also, I do have back problems that tend to be exacerbated by pregnancy, and when I'm still trying to recover my health and recover into a good exercise routine to get strong again after pregnancy. So baby wearing too much is very, very hard on my back and gives me a lot of pain. So that's not one of my go-to strategies. That's not a top level strategy. It's more of a last resort. For me, that's just because of me, my situation, my preferences. All right, now that I've set the stage and laid down that background info, I want to talk about some specific things that are helpful to me in this season of homeschooling with an infant, and things that I think might be helpful to you as well. Number one, manage your own health. Take care of your own health. As moms, our health impacts a lot of what we can do. It impacts what we can manage in a day, and it impacts the way we take care of our children. And we can't control everything about our health. You might be dealing with postpartum health issues. You might be still dealing with complications. This can be a very hard season on health, or you might have other conditions that make it extra complicated. There's a lot that we cannot control about health. But there are some things that we can, and some things that we need to extra prioritize in a season that is very hard on our health. So some of the things that we can often do a better job of prioritizing are things like sleep. Can we, to the greatest extent that we can, get enough sleep that we can get through our days and do the work that we need to do? Some babies really don't want to let you sleep. That's a baby thing, that's a normal baby thing, but can we find ways to make sure we're getting enough sleep? For me, that often looks like I put a strong priority on going to bed early when I have a baby that's getting up through the night. I won't let anything tempt me into staying up too late, because I know I need energy for the next day. I've got a long day of caring for children ahead of me. I'm going to go to bed early. For you, maybe it looks like taking a little nap when your spouse gets home from work. Getting sleep where you can to get the amount that you need to function well. Another one is nutrition. When you're tired and overwhelmed, it can be very easy to let nutrition slide by and forget to eat, forget to drink, or just be eating snacks or scraps off the kid's plate. And really, especially when we're in a season of nursing and we need so much liquid in our bodies and so much nutrition, that's something that we really can't afford to sacrifice. So making time to make meals that you will actually eat, getting a few minutes to sit down and eat them, even if it's with the baby on your lap, that might be what you need to do, but take the time to give yourself the nutrition you need. Also, exercise. Now, I'm not talking like you gotta go be doing CrossFit or losing all the baby weight or anything like that. But for me, and I know for many others, some level of exercise does help us keep feeling our best. And for me, because of my back issues, doing regular Pilates or physical therapy type exercises is one of the things that helps me regain strength, regain the core strength that I need to support my back after pregnancy. That's something I need to be consistent with. And if I make excuses of being too tired, I end up paying for it with the pain, and it's a cycle that doesn't help anybody win. Definitely not our babies, not our homeschools. We do need to try to get the strength that we can, and we are not in control of everything with our health, and sometimes we go through very, very tough seasons with our health that show just how fragile we humans are. But where you have these areas where you know you can do better with your habits, where you know you can provide for your own health the way that you would provide for the health of your kids, then you do need to do that so that you can function and serve them best. Next, choose your school time strategically. I've noticed that babies tend to be very rhythmic creatures. They're creatures of habit. Most of my babies have had certain times of day where they are the happiest and the calmest. And they've also had certain times of day when they are not the happiest or the calmest. So you might have in your mind an ideal that, it's best to be doing school at 9 a.m. But if that's not a happy and peaceful time for your baby, that's probably also not going to be the ideal school time for now. You can probably go back to that time at a later period, but don't choose it right now if that's not a happy, peaceful time for your baby. So nap times can often be a good time to do school, or just those certain times of day when baby is happy and peaceful. For my baby right now, one of his happiest times is about from 8 to 9 p.m. He's just happy, peaceful, contented, doesn't need anybody. 8 to 9 p.m. is not an ideal time to be doing first grade schoolwork, so we're not using that one, but we do use his nap times. And with different babies, this is all gonna look different when their happy, peaceful times are, and you might have to adjust in different seasons, especially with a very high needs or colicky or fussy baby. Sometimes it might even look like having a dedicated school session once your spouse gets home from work, and they can hold the baby for a while so that you can have some very concentrated, focused instruction time with an older child who needs that focused and undistracted time. So you might be doing some school sessions that are after dinner, or you might push some dedicated specific school sessions to the weekend at times when you have those very fussy babies that are not letting school get done. Next, once you've picked your time, choose a safe and happy place for your baby to be. And this is something that's also going to very much change as they grow. Sometimes the safe and happy place is right in your arms. Sometimes that's exactly where your baby wants to be and where they need to be. The great thing is we have two hands, so we can be checking math with one hand and holding the baby with the other. With small babies, it might also be something like having a crib very close by your school area where they can just be contained in a crib, or a swing. You're supposed to limit the amount of times that babies spend in swings. My baby loves his swing. This is the first baby I've had a swing for. So I prioritize letting him have some swing time during our school session. I don't put him in the swing at other times of the day. I prioritize school time. Okay, so for some part of school time, he'll probably be in the swing and he'll be happy for a little while in the swing, and we'll get to focus on school. Now, once you get past the non-mobile baby stage into the mobile baby stage, that safe and happy space will have to grow. So maybe over time it looks like a play yard, or maybe it looks like doing your schoolwork specifically in a room that you can close the doors and the baby or toddler will be able to move around the room and they'll be safe in that room, but they can't escape into other parts of the house. Next, after you have that safe and happy place, choose a happy occupation for baby during school time. As your baby grows, this is going to change. With a small baby, think of their baby hobbies. Their happy occupation might be nursing. Again, I mentioned we have two hands, so we can nurse babies and do schoolwork at the same time. Another happy occupation for them is sleeping when they're in these early months where they sleep a lot. As they get older, it might be a certain favorite toy that they love to play with. Once they're even older and they can sit up in a high chair is a great location as well as a place for them to be contained with an activity and close by where you can supervise them. So you can give them something that they can play with in the high chair or play with in their playpen, and you can be keeping an eye on the baby and keeping an eye on schoolwork at the same time. If you have bigger age gaps in your family and you have significantly older children as well as a smaller child, as your baby gets older and more playful and wants attention, a great strategy is to give one of your older children a break from school and a 20-minute segment of playing with the baby. I have much younger siblings, and this was something that we absolutely loved. All of the big kids loved having a mom permission excuse to get out of school for a while and just play with our baby sisters. So there's quite a variety in happy occupations that you can have, and that's going to change with your baby stage and your age. My children are too close together, so they are not at a stage where I can trust one of the older ones to play with the baby. They're still learning how to be gentle with a small infant, but when you have older kids and a bigger age gap, you can do that. And the last point I want to leave you with is sometimes you just need to take a break, but taking a break does not necessarily mean you need to quit on school for the day. Sometimes you might be right in the thick of your school session and you're halfway through and you just want to finish, but baby is so fussy right now and it's not getting good and you're getting overwhelmed and the kids aren't learning everything because the crying baby is distracting. That's the point where I would say take a break, cut it off. But you don't have to think, oh, school's ruined for the day. Like, yes, it might be ideal to finish that school session in one uninterrupted session, but that just might not be realistic right now. So don't be afraid to take a break, but also communicate that to your bigger kids. Say, we're not done, but I want you can go play, you can go have free time, you can go do such and such for 20 minutes or for half an hour, and I'm going to comfort the baby, settle the baby, do what the baby needs. We can take a good break, you can play, but when I call you back, then we're gonna come back and finish. So communicate to your older children that this is a break. This is not calling off school for the day in overwhelm, but take that break with no guilt, with no shame. There's no rush. We don't have to get it all done in one session, even if that might feel more efficient or that might be what we prefer. It's just might not be realistic right now. So feel free to take those breaks and come back to school once baby's settled. Sometimes they need an extra 20 minutes of rocking or singing or something to help them calm down enough to sleep. Some days our babies need us, and don't feel like guilty or overwhelmed about them needing us. That is what they were created to need. They do need us, and they do need that attention. So we're not ignoring our other job to do this. We are just finding different times to do these jobs that are both so important. The baby season goes by so fast, and childhood also goes by so fast. Don't let anyone make you think that it can't be done. It is gonna fly by before our very eyes. But it is something that we were created to do, that we are given the ability to do. And a lot of times it's just putting one step in front of another, keeping our eyes open, keeping our minds focused on our toolbox worth of strategies of how do I handle this next hour? How do I handle this next 2 hours? And doing the work of our days. I hope that this video brought you some help and encouragement from a mom who is right there in the midst of it herself with young children and a small baby, and finding ways to make this beautiful life work, to get my work done well throughout the days and go to bed, hopefully knowing that every day I'm growing in my skills and I'm growing in my ability to mother the children that God gave me. All right, I will be seeing you next time for more nerdy homeschool videos. See you later. Bye.